Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
The Diddy trial is underway. There have been opening statements, and there is now testimony in the case. And the opening statements kind of predictably laid out the prosecution's case and Diddy's defense.
But what the prosecutors started with a bang, with a statement that clearly they knew would get a lot of headlines, but more importantly, get the attention of the jury, talking about details, graphic details from the freak-offs. And
we should warn the people watching this, this is going to get graphic.
Right. There's a reason that they last week kept saying that to all the prospective jurors, it will be graphic. What was said this morning by the prosecution said that Diddy hired escorts for these freak-offs, and that it wasn't just sex, there were other acts that were going on. The one they said that really got everyone's attention, they claimed that he hired escorts, on one occasion hired an escort and forced him to urinate on Cassie. And that he forced not only the escort to do this, but Cassie is the way the government lays it out.
So we talked about this in our morning meeting today, so let's just be real here. This is shades of R. Kelly. And
that's the reason they brought that up first.
I mean, I don't think there's any question that R. Kelly paints a picture that kind of resonated with everybody. And the prosecution came out of the gate with something that sounded similar.
They want to show him, they want the jury to see him see Diddy parallel to R. Kelly, who everyone knows is going to be in prison for almost all the rest of his life.
And so,
if you got him convicted,
of course, and that's
you want it right,
and that's effective.
Yeah.
They also, and I think this is going to become a really important part of this case on both sides. The prosecution painted Diddy as a violent, jealous man who could not handle any attention heaped on Cassie by any other man.
Right. And that was part of their argument around the videotape, which obviously they mentioned as well. They talk about that beating, and the government was setting up what they know that Diddy's side is going to say. This was not about forcing her to stay. This was an argument about jealousy, about she thought I was, found another phone number. So the government is trying to rebut that already, right?
Well, yeah, and the defense already came out of the gate in their opening statements addressing that. And they are saying that, A, Diddy is a violent man. They said that he has a huge anger issue, controlling his temper.
They said there's domestic, yes, they said, yes, there was domestic violence.
That's the key. That's the key. They are saying that this relationship was steeped in domestic violence. And they're alleging on both sides it was the nature of their relationship. Now, domestic violence is a crime, but it's a state crime. He's not being prosecuted
for that.
He's
being prosecuted
so
for. And
that's
they also
where,
reminded the jury of that.
And that's why they're raising it right now. They're saying, look, we're conceding it. There was a lot of domestic violence, they say on both sides. But if you want to target Diddy for a domestic violence abuser, guilty as charged, it's just he's not charged here. This would have been a state crime. It's not your job. Right. So they're coming out of the gate trying to diffuse what they know is coming next, which is the Cassie video.
Right. Yeah, and look, I think that's a pretty sound strategy to basically concede on the issues that they can't really win. There was some violence. That video tells a pretty vivid story, but that's not what he's on trial for. However, I think the prosecutors have a pretty interesting case. It sounds like they're sort of kink-shaming Diddy about his private affairs, but the further you get away from the norm, where you have escorts who are saying that they were maybe ordered to urinate on Cassie, it starts to look like it can't be consensual, and that's what they want to convince the jury, is that no one wants to be urinated on. So saying these were consensual terms of a relationship gets harder to believe to a juror once you've established that he's doing things so far outside of the norm.
Yeah, and so, the defense said essentially, look, this is his lifestyle, this is his life, and that they are essentially trying to go inside Diddy's bedroom to prosecute him when they couldn't get him elsewhere. It's stunning to me that this parallels exactly what one of the lead lawyers, Mark Agnifilo, told us in our documentary, The Downfall of Diddy. I believe it was the second installment. This is what Agnifilo said, and they presented essentially this to the jury.
Let's switch our focus to the government. In my opinion, I'm just going to say it the way it is. No friend historically of the successful black man, okay? None. And they start making this case, in my opinion, as a takedown of a successful black man. Here's a man who has made some of the most important businesses owned by a black man. Run, owned, created, founded. The vision was that of a black man. What have we done? We have reduced him, not everyone, but a large amount of our society, to being a monster. That should make us shake in our boots.
So and that's essentially what Tony Garagos said during opening, that this is that she said the government has no business in his bedroom. They have no business judging him or trying to charge him with crimes based on how he lives his life consensually in his bedroom.
So there are there are three main charges here. There's racketeering. The difficulty prosecutors have in this case is racketeering is usually an organization. This one, they're focusing on an individual. The only person charged with racketeering is Diddy.
Right.
And they're saying essentially he ran a crime organization centered around all of this. The second thing they're arguing is this interstate transportation, which is what we call the Mann Act, which requires force or coercion or duress. And that's going to be a huge point that the defense is going to raise, namely that did these alleged victims, who were ex-girlfriends, most of them, did they do this consensually or were they pressured to do it?
Well, the prosecutors did talk about that, not so much with Cassie, but with another ex-girlfriend who they're referring to as Jane Doe, and they said that she is going to testify that she was, yes, she was, having sex with these escorts, but she always wanted them to wear condoms, and Diddy forbade that. So they are not going to wear condoms. And she says that she admits taking drugs, and she's going to testify to that, but that she is going to say that she only took them to get through it because this was not something she really wanted to do, and that Diddy was, there's the coercion that the government needs to show the jury. So.
But the third one is this interstate transportation of a sex worker, which doesn't require fraud, duress, or coercion. That's the one, in a way,
they kind of got him on.
Yeah.
Because he's admitting that.
Well,
he's admitting.
No. But you know what the issue is? The issue is, are these sex workers?
Right.
And that's going to be a big part of this, because if they are sex workers and the jury believes it, and they did cross state lines, he's going to have a tough time with that third charge. But the argument they're going to make is these people, they were men, were not sex workers. That's going to, again, this is going to get
then the definition of what makes, and
what makes somebody a sex worker.
And is that, are one of those sex workers, one of the escorts, going to be testifying for the government saying, yes, I was a sex worker? If they have that.
Our information is that we know of at least one person who has been subpoenaed, who they say is a sex worker. This guy says he wasn't a sex worker, although concedes that he was in that room having freak-offs with Cassie as Diddy watched. So that, there are three very different charges here, and they're all going to be kind of intermingled in terms of the testimony, but ultimately the jury is going to be told, look at this, here are the elements, look at this, here are the elements, and look at this, here are the elements.
By the way, just a couple quick things, a little bookkeeping. The jury that was finally seated this morning, 8 men, 4 women. Reportedly, the 8 men are split evenly, 4 men of color and 4 white men, and the women are all women of color. So interesting. We'll see what that does. And Diddy's, we should also say Diddy's family, his kids were all there. I don't know if they're going to be there every day, but all of his kids, the twins, His sons were all there.
And before
to support him.
and before court started today, he was in court reading a Bible.
Yes, and actually, I just saw a report that says that he has been at every opportunity reading that Bible while he's in court.
Hi, it's Tasha from Brooklyn. And I mean, we've moved past the 6-pack of white women on the jury and we've arrived at 8 men and 4 women. So I still think there's a big bias here, especially if the defense is mounting this narrative that, on some level, boys will be boys. Like, we can maybe allegedly commit domestic violence, but we also have our kinks, right? And I think that naturally will lend itself to some more sympathy from the male perspective, if I had to be honest. But I'm also honestly very surprised that the jury won't be sequestered, given how much information is out there.
You hit on something, because I got to tell you, I don't know how this jury avoids social media. You open your Facebook page and boom, there's a feed.
I don't know how exactly. If they go onto social media, they're going to see something about the trial. The judge has said they are not to watch news or
impossible
or use the internet.
It is
how is
just impossible for a 9-week trial. That is going to be the biggest hurdle to avoid a mistrial. Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, they are back. That would be one Taylor Swift and one Travis Kelce out and about together this weekend. We will show you where they showed up, we would think, quelling all the rumors of a breakup. But you know how the internet is. Well, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce certainly, wherever they have been, have heard all the rumors, people saying that they must be broken up, because we have not seen them out together. It had been couple of months.
How is that, Charles? How is that?
That people who are everywhere together in the public.
And not just that. If they go out to a store.
Right.
Pictures.
Right.
Anywhere they go.
So
pictures.
How is it?
2
are
months?
They just using really good disguises?
I don't know. But
or have they just been hunkered down?
How is that? It's impossible.
It's possible. It happened. We just went through it.
I don't know. There's something we
But
don't
that
know.
era is over. And now they're back. At least they were this weekend. They were out in Philadelphia. They must have been there that weekend for
Mother's Day.
Mother's
No,
Day.
you know what it is? It was Mother's Day, and my understanding is it must have been hosted by Jason and Kylie. And apparently
they live in the Philly area.
They live in the Philly area, and apparently both mothers were there, Taylor's and Travis's.
Got it.
So that's kind of interesting. But
a joint Mother's Day.
Yeah, well, that means,
like
of course that means something.
Yes, definitely means something.
Of course it means something. But how could these guys go under the radar for 2 months? Them.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Even with his shaggy haircut now, I think people would still recognize.
Like Johnny Cochran said in the O.J. Simpson case, you put a wool cap on his head and it's Johnny Cochran with a hat. That guy is Travis Kelce with longer hair.
Right.
So and she's Taylor Swift and she looks exactly like she did.
Right.
So I don't get it. Is there something we don't know, or were they on vacation in some, remote area where they just went away and disconnected, which I guess is possible. But for 2 months,
we've seen him
on his podcast.
Yes, he's doing his podcast still. It's just what she's been up to.
Something we don't know.
It's really interesting, though, because there's a lot of photos that have come out from this, Mother's Day restaurant outing. And it looks like Donna Kelce was there, as well as Taylor's mom, Andrea. So just like the moms being together, now they're doing group activities with families. When you start blending the families, that's how you know it's really, really serious.
Especially for holidays.
Totally. And a lot of fans think that the reason why they disappeared was maybe because Taylor went to a vacation spot to work on her new album. Because if you notice, Travis is really tan. His hair is grown out. He looks like he's been living in look, we don't know where they've been, but it looks like he's been living in Maui while Taylor's working on her new album, which
that's a good observation, Charlie.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of what people are thinking. Obviously them not being spotted for a while, people think they broke up, but I think it's a little something different.
I don't know. I mean, even if they're doing an album, when she was doing an album in New York, She went out to dinner. We saw him in Hawaii.
But that's when they were recording Harvey. She could be writing an album, so you wouldn't see her necessarily for
Right.
that.
If she goes into any of the studios that she normally uses, people would definitely see that. So she's just maybe in a different stage of the process at this point.
I don't know. We've cracked it.
Amy from Kentucky, but given that Taylor has been subpoenaed and involved in this messy "it ends with us" drama, I don't blame her for laying low. She has the best publicist in the world. And if she is laying low with Travis, they are planning something epic behind the scenes. I guarantee it. And I can't wait to see what they come up with next.
Something's up. Okay.
Something's up.
Something's up. We're going to move on.
Yes, to Pope Leo and Pope Leo's brother.
He seems cool.
Pope Leo?
Yeah. I don't know a lot about him.
He does,
but he's got a cool vibe to him.
It is interesting that I've seen now, actually observed parts of papal homilies that I never did before.
He
He
sang one.
But to see the Pope delivering
in English?
In English.
I know.
So
I know.
strange.
And I was talking to a friend of mine she's in Philly, and she was telling me that he has a big connection to Villanova. He was
yes,
there.
he studied there.
And apparently somebody from Villanova, I mean, he used to go to all the games, basketball games, and somebody from the team somehow got in touch with him and said, "We'd love for you to come out and speak." And he responded, he said, I think I'm going to be kind of busy
a little
then.
busy right now, but I'll get back to you. But they could get the Pope's brother, who Louis Prevost has said some things, or at least posted some things on social media in the past.
Yeah.
With some really
unpope-like language.
Unpapal language for sure. People found this one online that Louis, who is Pope Leo's older brother, posted something about Nancy Pelosi and used a word that
we can't say.
A four-letter word we can't say, but used that in reference to her. Now, he was reposting someone else saying it. He didn't actually say it.
But that's kind of co-signing on it.
Yeah.
I saw him on TV on Friday. He's, what to say?
He seems to have differing views from what we know of his brother.
He also was like, yeah, wasn't really close to him because I was a lot older and I went in the military, and my younger brother knows him way better. And I tried to get in touch with him to congratulate him, but didn't return my call, and hopefully someday he will. That was kind of what he said.
Well, he could keep hoping.
In odd ways, he said it on the air. It was
keep Pope hoping. I don't know if it's going to work out.
Casey from Kentucky. I don't believe Pope Francis's brother Pope Leo's brother should be subject to harsh criticism because he didn't explicitly say this. It was a repost, and it really correlates to the hypocrisy in the Democratic Party when it comes to tariffs and foreign policy.
Well, I mean, when you repost something with those words, and you know what the words were.
Unless your repost includes you saying something like, I think this is despicable.
Right. I mean,
but if you just put it up,
how is that
that's an endorsement.
How is that not co-signing?
It's 100%.
No, I'm asking you, how is that not co-signing?
Yeah, well, that's a fair argument to have, but I think the main scrutiny here is because he is the Pope's brother. Now, yes, you could say that he did co-sign an agreement there, but I do think that's much different than saying it yourself.
Okay, but he's co-signing it.
Right.
And the other brother, by the way, did get in touch with him. The other brother did get in touch with him.
Is there a pattern?
These are very different. Think
ideological.
Think Roger Clinton. Think Billy Carter type brothers.
Yes, I'm old enough to know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right. When we come back, President Trump has himself a brand new jet, the most luxurious private jet ever, a gift from the government of Qatar, and it has a lot of people in our government up in arms. He says it's free. We'll explain why that's not exactly how it's going to play out.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall. Yeah, right.
It's TMZ.
Very busy day at the White House. President Trump making some big announcements about prescription drug prices and also about a new toy that he has of sorts, or will be getting.
May get.
He says he's getting it.
He says he's getting it.
You think he's not going to get? Well, I
this
know there's a little thing
this
called the
is-
Constitution. We'll get into all that, but don't ruin the fun just yet.
The lawyers will deal with that.
Don't ruin the fun just yet.
Right.
It is a $400 million Private jet.
747.
It was 747. It is a gift.
Look at the inside of this thing, by the way.
It is phenomenal. It's been called a palace in the sky.
Tricked out.
And the Qatar government is gifting this to the U.S. Department of Defense, and it will be used. The plan is they would use it as Air Force One, and then Boeing is building some new Air Force One jets as well, and this one would eventually be taken out of service.
So
where is it going after is the issue.
Yeah, what they're saying is that, yeah, Trump will get it, and what they have to do then is tear it apart to make sure that there are no bugs in it and everything else. That's going to take a couple of years. So basically, Trump will have it for a year, and then he wants to put it in his library.
He thinks this is a sound decision to get this jet. Here's how he discussed it this morning.
I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out because, again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
So here's the thing about the Constitution. It actually has a clause specifically devoted to free stuff. And the Constitution says that you can't do that.
An elected official
you can't get gifts. Now, the question is...
This just seems way bigger than...
So he's saying that it's basically going to be used for a year when Trump is in office, and then, assuming he leaves office, then it goes to the presidential library. How's that not a gift? How's that not a gift? Well, from, by the way, I might add, one of the most repressive countries in the world.
Yes. The other part of what he said there, the free thing, it doesn't add up. It's not going to be free. Even if they just gave him the keys.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
What does it take to get a plane like this operationally ready to be Air Force One? It is not like any other plane in the world. So joining us right now to discuss that and what it might cost, Ron Alvarado flew presidents as a pilot on Marine One, and obviously is familiar with the fleet that the administration uses. And he's joining us right now. Ron, welcome to TMZ Live.
Happy to be here. Hello.
Hey, Ron. So let's say this shiny new jet comes to the United States. My understanding is President Trump just can't jump on it and use it as Air Force One. A lot has to happen first.
That's correct. It's going to take many months to get this flying White House up to speed. So you're essentially looking at a White House that's mobile. It can fly around the world. Is this gift from Qatar 747-8? Is it refueling capable? So in other words, can it do aerial refueling? How long can it stay airborne? The security features, that is going to be the main concern, because this isn't going to happen overnight where you just install these classified security systems. A lot of it I can't really talk about, but
well, they can use Signal.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. But there could be bugs in it. I mean, one of the things that I've been reading is they got to tear this thing apart to make sure that it's not bugged.
Exactly. So you're getting 4 engines and an airframe. Everything inside that aircraft, like you said, it's got to be gutted. It's got to be desensitized. It's got to be cleared for any listening devices or any tracking devices. Now, how long would that take? That could take months. So I think, well, thank you very much for the gift. $400 million for a jet, that's very nice. But in my opinion, I think it should stay into the inventory. If the taxpayers are going to bring this flying White House up to speed, then it should stay in the Air Force inventory.
In service.
And stay in service for the government, yes.
So what are we talking once that's all done? You know, we were looking at those photos of the beautiful interior. All I kept thinking is someone's gonna, disassembly not included, because all of that has to be taken apart and searched for, as we were saying, listening devices. When do you get done doing all of that? Are we talking a couple of million, tens of millions?
Tens of millions at minimum, tens of millions of dollars. And again, this is going to happen overnight. And those are some beautiful fixtures. Maybe have a rummage sale, just gut it and sell it and put it into the U.S. Treasury. But we, the taxpayers, have to maintain this aircraft per hour to fly Marine One and per hour to fly multiple Air Force Ones. That costs a lot of money and per hour. And if I were to discuss that, there would be a mutiny within our government.
Wow.
So it's a lot.
What's your opinion? I mean, you've been, around presidents. What's your overall opinion about accepting a plane from Qatar?
Which, as we said, it is constitutionally, the Congress is supposed to approve this, which hasn't happened to this point.
Well, a lot Congress needs to approve that is getting bypassed. But what's your opinion about it?
Well, this jet is coming from a royal family in one of the most dangerous regions on the planet, the Persian Gulf. So there are a lot of friends, a lot of allies, and a lot of enemies. So one day a friend could be an enemy. So I would be very cautious with this airframe. As I said, it's 4 engines and an airframe. If you strip it and start over, great. Then we've got a national asset. And it is a national asset that we own, the taxpayers, the U.S. citizens of the country. We own that airframe if we assume control of it. But another thing I understand is Boeing, aren't they working on a 787?
Yes. He says it's not happening fast enough. So he thinks this is going to be quicker where he can use it during his presidency.
Well, I back our president, whoever the president is, I back him up. But we have to use some logic and reason with the decision making and getting Congress involved, getting some smart, rational people, if they do exist in Congress. We have to make the best decisions for our pocketbook, the U.S. taxpayer.
Okay.
All right.
We really appreciate
Ron,
you coming
so
on,
much.
Ron.
Appreciate the insight.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, when we come back, Tory Lanez stabbed while in prison, and it is serious enough now that he has left that prison. Well, we'll tell you what we're hearing about his condition when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live. Tory Lanez got out of prison. Not the way he wanted to get out of prison, and only temporarily, but he is in a hospital right now as we speak, getting treated for stabbing injuries that he suffered this morning at the California State Prison, where he is doing time for the Megan Thee Stallion shooting. What we're told is that he was outside of his cell. We're not sure if it was the yard or if it was still within the prison walls, but was stabbed multiple times and had to be rushed to a hospital by ambulance. There are trying to get information about what the status of what his condition is right now. And it sounds
at the very least serious.
Murky. It's definitely serious.
Yeah, so obviously we've been reaching out to everyone involved. We had one source said that it was non-life-threatening injuries, but then we have other people that are telling us that, this was a very serious stabbing, I mean, as any stabbing is, and that he, was rushed to the hospital. So we're pushing and trying to get a more clear-cut update. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely crazy because I believe just a week ago, there was a photo of him that surfaced.
Less than that.
Where
he posted this.
Yeah, he was smiling or, looking good. He looks super
looking
buff,
pretty fit, yeah,
and looks good. And then just to think that less than a week later he would be transferred to the hospital is obviously a very serious situation.
What happens in prison? I mean, this is not the first one, but when you're high profile, and we've seen it with others, your target.
Hi, it's Carrington from Houston, Texas, and I think the most important question is the other guy okay? I'm hoping that Tory Lanez can still dance after this stabbing, but after his 10-year sentence, I hope we as Americans do our due diligence and get illegal immigrants out of this country. But keep your head up, Tory. Hopefully you get back on your good foot.
Wow. I didn't know if that was a thing because there was a thing about Tory Lanez possibly being deported.
Oh,
that was
I was wondering. I did not know that. Is that right?
That because he's a Canadian citizen. And
okay.
There are people saying he should be deported once he gets out.
Got it.
See how that goes. But
we are going to move on.
Yes. Moving on now to a Mother's Day tale. And you've probably heard lots of heartwarming, incredibly loving stories during Mother's Day. This is not one of them. According to Lil Wayne's now ex-girlfriend, Denise Bidot, who's been with him for a long time, but she says that on Mother's Day, he gave her the boot.
Wayne literally kicked me and my daughter out on Mother's Day today. If y'all got lawyer recommendations, please send them. You literally from New York City, where I was living, and brought me here for this. Like, that's crazy, you guys. Like, these men really be taking advantage. And it's not just the emotional abuse. Like, this man has actually laid a hand on me. Like, nah. I know other women he's put his hands on. This is absolutely crazy and a new low even for him.
Well, yeah, this was a very wild, unexpected story, especially people didn't even know that they were still together. You know, last time we heard from Denise, she was actually breaking up with him because Lil Wayne was supporting Trump. But to get thrown out on Mother's Day, you know, that's a new scenario for me.
We should say the daughter, I'm not trying to justify any actions or decisions Wayne made, but the daughter she's referring to Wayne is not the father.
Right.
So I don't know what the arrangement was. I mean, she makes it sound like he was paying for this house that she was living in.
Well, this sounds
and
to
for
me.
some reason decided.
An old case called Marvin v. Marvin.
Oh, please.
I know what
Tell us more about Marvin v. Marvin, counselor.
It has to do with palimony. And I don't know how long they've been together because it matters, but she's looking for a lawyer.
The common law?
Yes. Well, it's not common law. No. It's an implicit agreement, explicit or an implicit agreement to support the other person because she says, I moved down
like
from
depending on how long they were together? No, it's not like squatters' rights.
No, it's not squatters' rights. No.
I mean, it's not squatters' rights.
Hey, y'all, it's Lady T from Baltimore. I'm commenting on Lil Wayne and Denise Bidot. Honestly, listen, this is not the best way to be spending Mother's Day. She should be eating caviar, relaxing, getting massages, but instead she's got to move out because he moved on, it seems like. I really do hope her and her daughter are in a better situation and they're safe wherever they are, but they need to be no more on again, off again. Just unplug, restart, and move on, sis. That's what it needs to happen.
Yeah, I think Lil Wayne would be fine with her having massages and caviar and spa days. He just doesn't want to pay for it.
Right.
It appears.
We talked a minute ago about Marvin v. Marvin.
Uh-huh.
And you asked me what it was about. And this kind of leads me to my apology that I have to give. So
I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Oh, stop it. Mark Garagos and I do a podcast called Two Angry Men.
Of course, Garagos is getting the apology, not me. Okay.
No, it's really people who listen to it. Mm-hmm. So we do this podcast, Two Angry Men. So Garagos, in some way, is somehow connected to the Diddy defense. And I was trying to get him over the weekend on the podcast to tell me about it. And all he wanted to do was he kept citing these cases. And, you know, I'm saying, Mark, I don't want to hear about Shepard versus Maxwell. I don't want to hear about Gentile versus State Bar of Nevada. I want to talk. I just want to get an answer from you. And I kept interrupting him. Well,
it was, this is a warranted apology.
Well,
so you're apologizing not to Mark, but to the audience?
So Mark starts sending me these comments on.
Oh, he's in the comments.
He's in the comments. Shut up, Harvey. I want to hear the history. And then he texts me. Oh, no, this is a great one. Then he texts me. Listen to this. Then he texts me.
He's cherry picking the comments?
Oh, yeah. Then he texts me from a New York Times reporter who wants to remain anonymous. Quote, I may not be your average Two Angry Men listener, but for what it's worth, I'm interested in the legal history. So then I vow never to look at comments. Everybody
shamed him during the podcast. You're telling him no one wants. You're not a law professor.
Everybody in the comments just, Mark, find another co-host. Mark, this guy is an idiot. It was just on and on and on.
What do we say about the comments? Never look at the comments.
I know. Well, he was sending them to me. Okay, we're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, Cher is going to bat for some of the residents of the LA Zoo, the elephants, why she wants to see them freed. We'll get into that when we come back. Cher is running to court to fight for two LA residents that she feels has very strong feelings about, and she's been fighting for them for years. Their names are Billy and Tina, and they are elephants at the LA Zoo. But she and another LA resident who has been following their story got wind of the fact that there was a plan to secretly ship them to the Tulsa Zoo.
And this is a big issue that a lot of people believe it is just cruel to confine these creatures to this kind of artificial habitat. And Cher has been fighting just vigilantly for a long, long time to get these elephants free.
Yeah, so another resident filed this, John Kelly is his name, the LA resident who filed the lawsuit, and Cher filed her own declaration in this where she made it very clear how she feels about the conditions that these animals are living in. She said, they have been through hell. I've seen firsthand what it takes to rescue, rehabilitate, and safely relocate elephants to sanctuaries. The Tulsa Zoo is not a sanctuary. Billy and Tina have served their time in confinement. They deserve the chance to live out their lives in peace and dignity.
Yeah, I mean, moving these elephants to another place like this, another confined space.
Zoo, right.
It's like, I got to tell you, good on Cher. Good on Cher. This is, it's just not right. It is
Right.
just
And there are
right.
these sanctuaries where they can have more room and they're confined, obviously, still, but not anything like a zoo.
Yeah.
And we should point out that the LA Zoo has responded to all of this. They're standing by the fact that they believe that the way they handled this and the transfer to the Tulsa Zoo was done with care and done correctly. Of course, that's going to be their stance in all of this.
Hi, my name is Esther. I'm calling from Chicago. And I agree with Cher. Enough is enough for the zoo elephants. Send them to the sanctuary. And elephants, you know, they're known to be more sensitive and growing a connection with the people. So, you know, just put them in the right place. You know, they're so cute.
And smart. Okay, every weekend we put polls up on the website to see how you feel about things that went on last week. We did it this weekend. Here are the results.
All right, Cassie testifying at Diddy trial. Pregnancy really hurts the defense, or her pregnancy is irrelevant?
Gotta be the first.
Yeah.
Gotta be the first. Oh my God, I'm shocked at that.
Well, maybe they're saying legally, obviously, it's irrelevant, but
realistically, it's relevant.
I think you could have loaded that question up a little bit more.
Well,
I know you didn't.
Let
but
people. Okay, next one. Pope Leo XIV, same as Francis, or coolest pope ever.
I mean, he went to a World Series.
I think they're going to say that. Oh, God, I'm wrong on everything today. Okay.
So I fly through Newark Airport. Yeah, safest way. That's not safest way to go, or no way.
I just needed to win one. I needed to win one.
It's got to be no way.
There you
All right,
go.
there you go.
Finally. Aaron Rodgers, married or single?
I'm going to go single.
I'm going to go married. I cannot. First of Garrigus and now this.
Whose side you on? David and Victoria Beckham or Brooklyn and Nicola Beckham?
They got to say Brooklyn, please. What is going on today? Okay, last one.
All right.
I'm going to get this.
All right, listen. Kylie's fail with Timothy. This is where she went for the kiss and he did not. Is it horrifying or no big deal? Hold on, Harvey, you say?
No big deal.
Horrifying. Oh, you won one! Look at that! Look at that!
Okay.
Yeah, you finally got one at the end.
Okay, we're gonna take a break.
All right, when we come back, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, she was going for a big win this weekend, and Bill was there to watch. We'll tell you what happened at the Miss Maine competition. Well, this was going to be Jordan Hudson's year. She was in the spotlight, not Bill Belichick. This weekend, it was all about Jordan, because as far as I know, Bill Belichick doesn't have any experience in beauty pageants.
Although he did interrupt the competition 3 times.
He did say, we're not going there. No, we're not doing the swimsuit right now. No, Jordan was competing in the Miss Maine competition, and she's representing her hometown, Hancock.
She did good.
She did well. She was the second runner-up.
Second runner-up.
I have to say, just for factually, it is a downgrade from last year. She was in this competition. She was the first runner-up. So I guess she was going back, hoping to get the crown. But
notice I'm pursing my lips.
Second runner-up. She did well in the competition.
And she was very gracious.
I think
she was very gracious.
I don't know how they weighted the scoring here, but I know there was a public vote. And she didn't do very well in that one, which may be a reflection of
course it is.
Everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks.
So if they factored that in, it makes sense.
Yeah, I would have thought, though, I mean, she's the most popular, she's the most famous contestant. I would have thought that she would have gotten some sort of support online, but we looked, Charles, and she really didn't. I mean, yeah, you're right. She did better last year. She did, I should say, sit with Jordan's dad, who is about 20 years younger than Bill. Bill could be her dad.
Oh, Bill and her dad were sitting together?
But her dad's New England guy who loves Bill Belichick,
probably
right?
You've got to imagine, right? If you're a New England guy and he's a football fan, you've got to imagine that, that's. I don't know if it's cool that he's with his daughter, but you've got to imagine that he's like, wow, I'm sitting next to Bill Belichick right now. This guy's a hero in that area. So
that's her
father.
That's her father?
Yeah.
I mean, you told me that's her brother. I'd be like, yeah, of course, that's her brother. Like,
I know.
What?
Hi, this is Susan from Palm Springs, California, and I think her relationship with Bill Belichick isn't helping her in any popularity contests. I think people are tired of their relationship. I think their relationship has run its course, and I think they should just get over it.
Well, I mean, they seem to dig each other, so
Yeah, they're into each other.
I don't know about that.
See, if they can make it through this upcoming football season, his first season at UNC, then
I'm finally a college
What if
football
Bill dumped her right there and he said, I don't want the second
Oh,
runner. I don't want a
please.
third place. I'm Bill Belichick. I'm a winner. I want the...
Okay, what else you guys want to talk about?
Hi, Ashley here from Arizona. On the Diddy case, I am just thinking like it needs to be more even between the men and the women on the juror. So that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah, but you never know how it plays out.
that doesn't-
there are some people who think women are going to be better for him. Some people think men, and vice versa.
I saw they're saying that that women tend to be, prosecutors know this, that women are
harsher on women.
On women.
Yeah,
when
I
it
mean,
comes
that's
to
the
sex
conventional
crimes.
wisdom.
Yeah.
One more.
Hi, I'm Tiffany from Atlanta, Georgia. I will be commenting on the Tory Lanez situation, him getting stabbed in prison. That's a very unfortunate situation, and he's already doing 10 years. So imagine how he's feeling now, even more defeated. So hopefully they can find out who did this and why, because no one deserves to be put in this type of, circumstance.
It is a good point that now, he's got this kind of marked man thing going. It's going to be tough. We're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, Morgan Wallen had everyone scratching their heads about that early exit from SNL. They've even made fun of it on SNL since then. Well, now he is finally answering and revealing why he just had to go last time he was on the show. Listen, we have a little correction we have to make.
You have to make.
All right, fine.
Well,
wow, I love you just threw me out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've already done a mea
Thanks a
culpa.
lot, chum. That is not Jordan's father there. That's a security guard. Well, I mean, the guy right next door is Bill Belichick.
Makes a
But
whole
the
lot.
other guy
Makes a whole lot of sense.
is the security guard, not her father. Wow, that was weird.
Okay.
All right. So Morgan Wallen, the SNL exit where he just bolted. Well, he finally opened up about what was going on. He was on Sunday Conversations with Caleb Presley. Here's his explanation.
Are you good around the house? Are you handy? I mean, I used to do landscaping before I moved here, so I do know how to do all that stuff. Could you fix a TV if it was on SNL? I could change it for sure. Seriously, SNL, did they make you mad? No, I was just ready to go home. I've been there all week.
Wow, this guy. I mean,
I was
ready to go home. It was 5 extra seconds.
Right. Everybody was ready to go home, but they still
5
stay in.
seconds.
Something more is going on there.
Yeah. Okay. We will see you tomorrow.